Your plan is to buy a piece of land and you want to build on it. Doesn't matter if you're building your dream retirement home, maybe it's a luxury weekend getaway, just a place to get out of the city, might be building a barndominium or like a hunting or fishing lodge. But if you're not paying cash, you're going to have to get construction financing. That construction financing can get a little bit tricky, especially if you're like me and you're self-employed or if you own your own business. So in this video, I'm doing an interview with a guy who's done a ton of land and construction loans, and we're going to be talking about the qualification processes. It seems straightforward, but like I said, there's two different qualification processes in this. And if you don't have anybody that's really experienced leading you in this, you could end up, you wouldn't necessarily lose a lot of cash, but you could waste a lot of cash and not keep it in your pocket for other projects that you may have. So a lot of information in this video. Grab a pen, piece of paper, maybe some coffee or your favorite cocktail, but let's dive in and talk about just what does it take to get qualified for a land and a construction loan? Okay, how do I get a construction loan? How are you going to qualify me as a buyer when I want to build a house?
Okay. Two big sides of the qualification process, and that one is going to be relating more to the property, and one specifically to you, the borrower. The first let's talk about is loan to value ratio, and you want to call LTV loan to value?
I was about to say, we've seen LTVs and stuff.
Let me explain what that is very simply. If you're buying a house, random house, that neighborhood, if you're putting down 20%, you're looking at 20%. On the bank side, I'm looking at the 80%. We're lending on 80% of the value of that property, so your loan to value ratio is an 8. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Right? And so qualifying for a construction loan, each lender is going to have some different qualification. What works best for that bank?
And most of the, I'm going to just jump in a little bit. So Citibank, you're dealing with kind of portfolio lenders within y'all's portfolio. So some of them are, and this is what you're saying, some of them are going to require a little bit different thing than if you go down to ABC Bank down over here.
On the final one.
Oh, okay.
On the construction loan, no. This is strictly Trey. Trey's underwriter and the bank guidelines.
Right, exactly.
On the construction, right? And so
now, that's of course just looking at things from a numbers perspective and kind of the way things normally go. That's just kind of like your baseline deal. But what if you got a smoking deal on a piece of land? Or what if you've already bought your land and you've got it completely paid off? Well, that changes the numbers and it changes kind of the game. And this is what I was referring to earlier about you don't want to have to put too much cash into the deal, but I'll let Trey explain it.
There are some instances if you've got a smaller loan, that doesn't mean a smaller build, right? You could be building a $1.5 million house. You could be putting down $1 million cash with a $500,000 loan, right? Yeah. So guidelines differ. Arbitrary number, at least in 2023, set by the federal government. Right. Conforming loan amount, $725,000. Right. If you're below that, it's easier to qualify.
In Hayes County, in Travis County.
No. This is state. This is
it's
nationwide.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
The conforming loan amount.
Gotcha.
So again, a loan below $725, a little easier to get. A loan over is a jumbo loan. It's scrutinized a little bit more, right? You're pretty much always going to need to be. You can do a 10% down, let's call it, or a 90 loan to value ratio. You can do that on a loan that's going to be less than that 725. Okay. Right? You're going up larger over 725. A home around here probably is going to be. Yeah. Right. You're going to need to be 20% in. And you want to talk about equity in the land right now? Is that?
Yeah, I mean, we may as well. It comes up because that's what you're talking about.
So again, two sides of qualifying. Your debt to income ratio, your job, how much money you're making, what is your debt and the property and the loan to value ratio. So we're going to determine right off the bat before the construction loan is given, we're going to have an appraised value for what that home is going to be valued at when completion is done.
Right. So you've got the specs, you've got the schematics, all that stuff.
Before we even close the loan, I've got to have plans, I've got to have the full final budget and the builder contract. But with that, the reason for that is that's what the appraiser needs. Right. He's going to go out, he's going to use the plans and the budget, and he's going to determine, very easy for him to get comparable sales on the land. He's going to take the land, he's going to add the bill cost, and that should conceivably be your final value once it's complete. Let's say the requirement then is an 80 loan to value ratio, so you as a borrower, you need to be 20% in. Right.
So that's that first qualification. It's all about the cost of the land, the cost of the build versus what it's going to be worth at the end. Okay, that part's fairly straightforward. But now here's that second qualification part where you as the buyer of the property, even though you're building it, you're the buyer, that bank has got to make sure that their investment in that is safe. So what's involved with those qualifications for you aside from the land and the construction?
So let's say you have a lot that's worth 200,000, right? And you bought it, or you bought it some long time ago and you paid it off. Let's use that scenario.
Right.
That 200,000 in equity that you have in the property,
Yeah.
that is worth cash.
Okay, because it is cash.
It is.
It's
It
owned
is.
outright.
It's value. The bank is not looking for your cash.
Right.
We're not looking for your dollars to put in the
They
table.
want to know if you go bankrupt,
That's
where's
right.
the value?
That's right. That's right. And the lower the loan to value ratio, the safer of the loan it is for the bank. So let's say you're $1 million total in, 800,000 build, $200,000 value on the lot. And we're gonna want you to be 20% in on that one. Boom, you've got it. You've already got your 200,000.
You're paying closing costs in that scenario?
That's it. You're paying nothing but closing costs to get your construction loan done. And in fact, all the way to the end, you're likely not coming with any more other than some,
If you have
minimal
overage
closing
or
costs.
something, or
Right.
Yeah.
Right, that's right. So that's the loan to value ratio. Key that in of, I need to be in the deal, homeowner, need to be in the deal 20%.
Right.
I might need to bring cash to get to that 20%, or I might have equity in the land that's gonna get me to that 20%. Very often we find if you've got a good part of your lot or you own it outright, you're gonna have way more.
Yeah.
Way more.
Especially out in this area.
Yeah, good
With
luck
cost of
finding
land.
a $200,000 lot around here at any size.
It's
right?
going to be hard.
If it is, you're not building a custom home on it.
That's a fact.
I won't name any builders to tell you who would be. Right?
That's a good point.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the home side of qualifying. Now let's talk about debt to income ratio. I'm going to make the assumption that the majority of you that may be watching this video and watching on through, you bought a house before. You've been through the process, you've gotten a loan, you've been asked for the bank statements, you've been asked for your last 30 days
IRS tax
of pay
documents.
stubs, we need your tax returns, we need the birth certificate for your grandkid. You know what I mean? It's a joke.
Everything.
But I mean, everything that you're typically going to need to buy a home is the same that you're going to need for construction, right? And what we're looking for is what is the qualifying income, what is steady and predictable that we know your family is bringing in per month, right? We're then going to compare that to, we're going to then look at the debt side.
Okay.
We know we're going to have the debt on the payments for this particular loan, right? So when we talk debt to income ratio, it's just a comparison to what is the proven income coming in versus the debts that are going out. We're looking at the debts associated with the house, but also adding up everything that's going to pull on your credit report. Is it student loans? Is it an auto loan? Is it is this a second home and you have a primary mortgage? Whatever that is, you're adding those up to get to your debt side. And if you're a numbers running kind of guy and just wondering, run those numbers and this is very robust, right? Because there's all kinds of scenarios. Again, this is not a quote. I'm not quoting our guidelines. If you can fit in a 43 debt to income ratio, meaning you bring in whatever 10,000 a month and you don't have anything more going out than $4,300, bam, you're in there. Some instances we're going up to a 48 debt to income ratio, and there may be instances with a massive bill that we need to be a little bit lower, right? So that's both the debt to income side and again the loan to value ratio side. Always so many different variables that are going to fit in. To the debt.
Each individual deal is
That's right.
just like it's a custom home.
Right.
So
and you're watching right now, and if a construction loan interest rate were 7%, if you're watching 2025 this video right now, we hope it's 3.
yeah, that's right. Please.
That is a massive difference in a debt to income ratio right there. Now, when we talk about the qualifications, there's 2 qualifications to be made on day one, right? First and foremost, the bank wants to know when construction is complete, do you qualify for a loan for your 30 years mortgage at what it's going to be? whether that's a bank portfolio loan that I provide, or whether you're going on the secondary market and you're getting a jumbo loan from another investor, which is a deal that I broker all
So
the time.
you've got to qualify on that.
Everything. And I'll say, while I may not be the named loan officer on a different part through the process, from the first time you decide I'm going to buy a lot, from that day until you're done permanent loan, I'd say I'm a quarter.
Yeah.
I'm going to counsel you through buying a lot, counsel you through the construction, and then getting into the permanent loan. So again, we're going to start off right off the bat, and we're going to say, do you qualify for that pending loan?
Yep.
Why don't we qualify just on the construction loan? Again, if we're an interest-only payment during construction, that is a far less per month payment than it is once we work with an amortized loan, where in conjunction with the interest you pay every month, you're starting to pay principal to buy that, to buy that balance down.
Right.
Right. So we need to know at the end you qualify. Qualifications at the end are likely a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Right? I would say easier. Well, let's just say this. It's going to be the same as if you purchased a house.
Yeah, that's what I was
same
going to
house,
say.
right?
It's
The
just like you're going to go get a
qualifications,
30-year.
They are what they are. Right. I would say if someone is, I'm going to make this point. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail of this. I think I said it in the previous video. If you think you're going to build a house within the next year, talk to me immediately.
Yeah.
Talk to another lender that you might work with. Now's the time to talk. There's lots of planning to go into what situation are you in. Are you self-employed and you're going to be filing a tax return within the next year? Let's have an idea what
And
that's
let me
going
tell
to
you,
look
if
like.
you're self-employed, things
Yeah.
change.
They change.
Especially if you
Absolutely.
try to minimize your tax burden by using deductions and things
Yeah.
things change.
They absolutely change, right?
But
So I just want to circle back on something here that I talk about in all of my videos. You really need to have your team in place from the very beginning before you ever approach an architect, and you're going to have your plans on the back of a napkin basically, but before you go and get that thing designed, before you start going to builders and having them price this, you have got to have that team, and at the very least, it needs to include a lender that knows what's going on, because you need to know how much cash it's going to take. You need to know if you're going to be able to qualify for the end product. You need to have all of that stuff up front before you start wasting time and money on that. I also would recommend, if you're looking at land, find you a realtor that understands what to look for in land. Is it buildable? Is it not buildable? But if you've got a builder that you can take with you that you already have identified, okay, that person subs in, but you need to have this team together up front so you don't waste time and money on it. And I always say, I'm in Texas, and Trey, the guy in the video with me, is in Texas. But if you need recommendations outside of the state, if you don't know where to start with that, let me know. I've got a ton of contacts of people that are like me, that understand construction, both from a real estate and a lending perspective. Happy to make any kind of recommendations that you need. But again, and it kind of seems like I'm harping on it a little bit here, having that team, a great lender, a great realtor, that's going to keep you out of trouble for the long run. And they're probably going to have great recommendations for builders and contractors and stuff like that as well. But having that lender in place up front is going to make sure that you can actually qualify to build that dream or whatever it is that you're building.